It's hard to imagine that the person you trust the most with your life could secretly be the one taking it away. Imagine visiting a doctor because you feel weak, tired, maybe just a little dizzy. You sit in a quiet clinic room while the doctor calmly checks your pulse. He speaks kindly. He listens carefully. He even visits patients at their homes when they are too weak to travel. To everyone around him, he looks like the perfect doctor, caring, patient, and deeply respected. But what if behind that calm smile was a terrifying secret? What if that same doctor had quietly taken the lives of hundreds of people right under everyone's nose? For years, families trusted him. Elderly patients believed he was their protector. The town saw him as a hero in a white coat. Yet the truth was darker than anyone could imagine. Because this doctor wasn't just treating patients, he was killing them. More than 500 deaths have been linked to one man, a trusted medical professional who turned his clinic into the perfect place to hide murder. For decades, he escaped suspicion. No alarms were raised. No police investigation stopped him. Until one tiny mistake exposed everything. And when the truth finally came out, it shocked an entire country. The man at the center of this chilling story was Harold Shipman, a respected doctor who would later be known as one of the deadliest serial killers in modern history. But the most disturbing part of this story isn't just how many lives were lost, it's how long he managed to hide it, and how a single overlooked detail finally brought his dark secret crashing down. Long before the world knew his name for the wrong reasons, Harold Shipman looked like the picture of success. Born in England in 1946, he grew up in a working-class family. As a child, he was known for being quiet, intelligent, and deeply focused on his studies. Teachers described him as disciplined and determined. People who knew him back then believed he would achieve great things. One event during his teenage years shaped him in ways no one understood at the time. His mother became seriously ill with cancer. Shipman watched as doctors treated her pain with powerful injections of morphine. Those injections would calm her suffering, easing their pain almost instantly. For young Shipman, this moment left a deep impression. He saw how a doctor could control life and death with a simple syringe. Years later, that memory would take on a disturbing meaning. Shipman went on to study medicine and eventually became a general practitioner. Patients trusted him because he seemed calm, professional, and attentive. Unlike some busy doctors, he often spent extra time talking with patients. People felt comfortable around him. In the small town of Hyde in England, he became especially popular among elderly residents. Many of them lived alone and depended heavily on their doctor. Shipman made house calls. He would sit and talk with his patients, sometimes for long periods of time. He listened to their stories. He offered comfort and reassurance. To lonely elderly people, he wasn't just a doctor, he was someone who cared. Because of this kindness, patients trusted him completely. Some even gave him keys to their homes so he could visit whenever needed. But behind that friendly behavior, Shipman was quietly gathering information. He knew which patients lived alone. He knew who had family nearby and who didn't. He knew who owned property and who had savings. All of this information gave him the perfect opportunity. At first, nothing seemed suspicious. Elderly patients sometimes passed away suddenly. When someone is in their 80s or 90s, death rarely raises many questions. Shipman understood this perfectly. When he visited patients, he often carried powerful painkillers in his medical bag. Among them was a drug derived from morphine, extremely strong and extremely dangerous in high doses. If someone received too much, their breathing would slowly stop. To outsiders, it would look like a peaceful, natural death, and that's exactly how Shipman wanted it to appear. For years, the deaths continued quietly. An elderly woman found sitting peacefully in her chair. Another patient discovered lying calmly in bed. A man who seemed fine one day but died suddenly the next. Each time, the same pattern appeared. Shipman was usually the last person to see them alive. He signed the death certificate himself, often writing old age or natural causes as the reason. Then he recommended cremation. Cremation destroyed the body, and with it, any possible evidence. Because he was a trusted doctor, no one questioned him. Families were grieving. The doctor had already explained the cause of death. Everything seemed normal. So the deaths kept happening, year after year. And still nobody suspected that a serial killer was hiding in plain sight. What made Shipman especially dangerous was his patience. He didn't rush. He didn't panic. He simply waited for the right moment.
Many of his victims were elderly women living alone. He would visit them during routine checkups or house calls. While talking calmly, he would quietly inject a fatal dose of medication. Within minutes, the victim would lose consciousness. Soon after, their breathing would stop. When someone later discovered the body, Shipman would already be prepared with an explanation. To everyone else, it looked like a natural passing. But as the years went by, something strange began to happen. The number of deaths connected to Shipman seemed unusually high. One doctor working nearby started to notice something odd. While reviewing records, she realized that many patients from Shipman's practice were dying more frequently than expected. At first, it sounded like a coincidence, but the numbers kept growing. Eventually, concerns were reported to local authorities. An investigation briefly began. But here's the twist. The investigation didn't find enough evidence. Police reviewed the cases but saw nothing clearly suspicious. Shipman appeared professional, respected, and cooperative. So the case was closed, and Shipman walked free. After that, the killings continued. But fate has a strange way of exposing secrets. In June 1998, an 81-year-old woman named Kathleen Grundy was found dead in her home. She had been healthy, active, and well-known in the community. Her sudden death surprised many people. Once again, Shipman had signed the death certificate.
Once again, he said the cause was natural. At first, nobody questioned it. But something unexpected soon happened. Grundy's daughter, a lawyer named Angela Woodruff, began reviewing her mother's paperwork. During that process, she discovered a document that shocked her. It was a will. According to this will, her mother had left her entire estate to Harold Shipman. Not to family, not to children, but to her doctor. Angela immediately felt something was wrong. Her mother had never mentioned such a decision. The document also contained unusual errors that didn't match her mother's usual writing style. So she went to the police, and that decision changed everything. Investigators reopened the case and ordered an autopsy. When medical examiners studied the body, they discovered something alarming. Kathleen Grundy's system contained extremely high levels of diamorphine, a powerful drug related to heroin. It was a fatal dose. Police then began looking more closely at Shipman's medical records, and that's when they noticed something strange. Shipman had recently started using a computer to record patient notes. In those records, he had written that Grundy was addicted to drugs. But investigators discovered the entry had been edited after her death. Shipman had tried to create a fake history to protect himself. Unfortunately for him, computers keep timestamps. That tiny detail exposed the truth. It was the mistake that finally unraveled everything. Police searched his home and discovered the typewriter used to create the fake will. Even more shocking, they found patterns connecting him to many other suspicious deaths. One by one, investigators began reopening old cases. Bodies were exhumed, medical records were examined, families were interviewed, and the horrifying picture slowly emerged. This trusted doctor had not just killed once or twice, he had done it again and again for decades. By the time the investigation finished, experts believed Shipman may have murdered more than 250 patients. Some estimates pushed that number closer to 500. It made him one of the most prolific serial killers in history. When the truth came out, the entire country was stunned. People who once praised Shipman could hardly believe what they were hearing. Families who had trusted him with their loved ones suddenly realized something terrifying. Their relatives may not have died naturally at all. Many victims had believed they were safe in the hands of a caring doctor. Instead, they were sitting across from a killer. The emotional impact was devastating. Families struggled with grief and anger at the same time. Some felt guilty for trusting him. Others were haunted by memories of their loved ones' final moments. For the town of Hyde, the shock was overwhelming. This was a community where neighbors knew each other. People had shared meals, celebrations, and everyday life for years. And right in the middle of that peaceful town, one man had quietly carried out hundreds of murders. Hospitals and medical organizations across the country were forced to review their systems. Authorities realized that too much trust had been placed in doctors without proper checks. New safety measures were introduced to prevent something like this from happening again. But for the families of the victims, no policy change could undo the past. Their loved ones were gone forever, and the person responsible had hidden behind a white coat. Eventually, Harold Shipman was arrested and put on trial. The evidence was overwhelming. In court, he was found guilty of multiple murders and sentenced to life in prison. But even then, many questions remained unanswered. Why did he do it? Was it about control? Money? A psychological obsession? Some experts believed his childhood experiences watching doctors treat his mother may have played a role.
Others thought he enjoyed the power of deciding who lived and who died. The truth may never be fully known. In 2004, Shipman died in prison, taking many secrets with him. But his story left a permanent mark on history. It became a warning about blind trust, because sometimes the most dangerous people aren't the ones hiding in dark alleys. Sometimes they wear a friendly smile. Sometimes they carry a medical bag. And sometimes they are the very people we trust to save our lives. The story of Harold Shipman reminds us that evil doesn't always look frightening. Sometimes it looks ordinary. Sometimes it looks kind. And sometimes it hides in the most trusted places of all. All it takes is one small mistake for the truth to finally come out.